Hi, Katie.
Hey, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
Good. Busy and good.
Got a lot going on.
Yeah,
You just get this adjusted here and get stuff fired up.
no worries. Throw on
Oh,
my headphones.
yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, we're going live there. Play the intro thing, and then we'll start chatting.
Live from Utah's Wasatch Front, the pulse of the Mountain West, where the issues that shape your life meet the truth that sets you free. Across Utah, across the Republic, and around the world, welcome. This is KMMU.
All right. Thank you, KMMU. So hello everyone. We have Katie Adams Anderton on. She's a good friend of the show. I like to bring her on to open up my perspective a little bit. She is not a progressive zealot, but she can offer the centrist view from the Democrat Party like nobody else. But before we drift into that, Katie is also an ambassador for like the American Cancer Society and all the cancer research, and she gets up there and she fights for all of us at the state capitol to ensure that cancer research gets the best benefit that it can get from our society. So I want to just offer a few minutes for Katie to talk about the latest pushes they have going on and to let you guys know how you can help if if you're looking for a place to a good place to put your money.
Yeah, so we're doing a Cancer Action Day on the Hill on February 20th from about 11:30 to noon or 2 o'clock. What's great is we have lunch and we meet with our legislatives and we talk about things in Utah with our Utah legislators about things that really matter to us. Right now, what's ongoing is typically every year we work with legislatives to get bills that might be beneficial for either cancer research, cancer prevention, those kind of things. This year, what we're really working on, and we're very grateful to be working with Representative Tyler Clancy. I think he's in District 63 of Provo. Um, Taxes, and Jared's going to hate this, taxes on tobacco have not been raised in 16 years. And the thing is with tobacco raises we found across the nation, it tends to be the best deterrent for especially young people from partaking in certain tobacco products. And so that's kind of the goal this year is to kind of get that in addition to
Do,
it's,
do
yeah, go ahead,
kids still smoke?
vaping. And the hard thing is
So
how the
does a tobacco tax apply to vapes as well, or only vapes that contain nicotine?
vapes as well. Because the problem that we found with the old bill from 16 years ago, because it hasn't been updated, it does include things like that. So some of it's to just update it with our latest and ongoings. Because like my generation grew up with the DARE program.
That
I
was
don't
a
know.
outstanding success.
Absolutely. And
I think
um,
every pothead I know had one or two Dare shirts.
absolutely, they still sell them. And I, I, I don't think they were really beneficial, but that's neither here nor there. But
I think the problem with Dare was how they came out and fearmongered, and then when the kids ventured in and experimented, they figured out the adults exaggerated a bit.
They were
and they
lying.
lost trust. It's like, forgive me if I compare it, but it's like COVID. COVID was a disaster because, I mean, right now, nobody trusts the media. Nobody trusts any of that because instead of them sitting back and saying, you know what, we got this possible new information and it might be beneficial for us to look into it for a minute, they just hammered down on whichever side they were on.
Right. The other issue with it too, I think, was like you said, lost confidence, because I think for some people, certain drugs that Dare tried to say was how everyone reacts. Um, I think some of it was not true for everyone. And so when they did start experimenting as a teenager, they were like, this isn't it at all. You know what I mean? The other thing was Dare also led us to believe that these shifty characters were going to offer us free drugs at some point, when in reality, we should have been learning like more, hey, your mom's Adderall prescription or your sister's Adderall prescriptions, like that's still abusing drugs. You know what I mean?
I think it was mismanaged. And I don't know if it could have been managed better. I mean, drugs tend to follow depressed communities and things like that, which increases drug use. But then again, you get a different drug that jumps in on the party side, which is where the most danger is coming now with fentanyl overdoses. It's added on top of these drugs that kids use to have fun. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would argue that Dare, on the face of it, was a failure of taxpayer money. Now we all know that I tend to think that you would be hard stretched to show me a success of taxpayer money. But it was a failure, but its heart was in the right place.
Yes. And that is the hardest thing with it, is kind of seeing that the heart was in the right place. Was the education appropriate for what kids were actually interacting with? Probably not. I can speak for my own not personal experience, but where I grew up, a lot, like some of my friends, they became addicted to things like painkillers and heroin because of doctors over prescribing them. You know what I mean? And then it became like, we can't help you. There's no version of pain management at this point. Like, you just have to stop cold turkey. And then it was like they went to these extreme measures to find ways to get out of the pain.
And let's remember, that was pain medication was fed to us with the blessing of the government.
Yep.
The government didn't do its due diligence, they tax us to death to say they're going to do that, and didn't do that. They did not meet their requirements.
No, it's very unfortunate. But back to the American Cancer Society, we're having our Cancer Action Day. We're really working on this tobacco bill with Representative Clancy. It's his last session, so we're trying to make it all that it's worth, and we're very grateful he's working with us. He's always been a really good advocate for cancer initiatives, so we're really grateful for that. And so if you've never ever signed up before to be an advocate, it's very easy. I shared the link, and Jared's also shared the link on the Facebook group to kind of get this out there. But it's sign up, it's free, and come meet with us. We can teach you how to, talk to, legislatives and those kinds of things. I will be there. I help mentor different students. And so that's just overarchingly our job, is just to make sure that you feel comfortable in the space that you're operating in. So,
and this is completely nonpartisan.
Yep.
Everybody gets hit with somebody they love that they get to watch go through the horror that is cancer. I can't think of a more noble pursuit of government than to try to cure it.
Yeah, and I will say with this last year, I'm a breast cancer survivor. I've been now clean for about 16, or not 16, 10 years. And
Outstanding.
yeah, thank you. And I will say with the government lately, we've been seeing a really stripping down of cancer research funding. And a lot of it's because governments are seeing, with inflation and other things, we're even seeing it in Utah. A lot of the different entities are being told, hey, you need to cut from your budget. We need to make sure we have money going forward. And one of the first places we look at is things like healthcare. And unfortunately, cancer gets cut. But like you said, everyone has someone that they knows that's had cancer. And it's so important to have these funded in part by our government because it creates impartiality for the researchers. They're not going to these, pharma companies and being asked, hey, research our stuff. It creates a little bit of a level playing field when the government's involved with that.
Yeah, that's a if for someone like me who is allergic to the word government's going to spend your money on stuff. It's a tough. There. Do I believe in my heart that a private entity is going to be the thing that breaks through on this? Yes. But do I also believe that in my heart, the way private, especially pharmaceutical companies, act lately, and insurance companies, they act. You can honestly say that the patient's best interest isn't the thing that's highest on their checklist.
No, and I think that's very clear. You can look at like Myriad Genetics, who's located here, and I personally have had issues with Myriad Genetics in the past. What happened was is for people like me who have the BRCA gene, so we're at a higher disposition. The University of Utah and Myriad were the first ones to find the BRCA gene in the genome and say this is what's causing the certain levels of cancer risk. And Myriad went through and patented our genes. And they were the only place you could go to get testing. On average, the cost for testing was about $5,000. The problem was, and Myriad, their retort was, well, if someone can't afford it, we find options for them, those kinds of things. But it actually went to the Supreme Court, and it was deemed that, you couldn't patent someone's genes. And I think that was where a private company kind of lost the ball a little bit. And that's when you have to kind of look at it and you have to be like, okay, well, there is some government overreach or government reach that's necessary.
That is, but then again, could you argue that back to our patent system is messed up from the start?
The patent system is very interesting. The thing is that you can't my knowledge of patent law is very limited, mind you. I studied it in college, but the biggest thing is like this. If it's a naturally forming thing, it's not patentable, right? But what they were saying was this isn't a naturally forming thing. This is kind of like a mutation. So that's why we can patent it. And it is this is the hard thing. I think with the, yeah.
Let me break this down. The government gave them permission to patent another human being.
Yes.
So my original argument stands.
Yes.
That the government, when they applied for that, the government should have laughed vociferously. Yes. The government should have a website where you go there and it's like a dunce page. Look at what this asshole tried to do. And you laugh at them and you dog them and you make memes. That's what the government should be doing on this. Instead, what the government did is they said, we're going to build this big office. We're going to employ a lot of people at the cost to you.
Right.
Drink that in. The cost to you, either through inflation or through direct taxation. And this organization is going to be, 1, lobbyable, 2, corruptible, and 3, they will allow a company, a corporation, to come in and patent an individual human. Now,
Yeah.
there's a word for that. It's a crazy word, but it rhymes with bravery.
I was shocked when I was all going down to realize that I was patent. Like, take that into consideration. Like,
Drink that in
I
for a minute.
yeah, I am a patent. I was a patent for a company. Like, a part of my DNA was a patent for an organization. And like, that is the hardest thing sometimes to kind of swallow,
Yeah.
is like,
You belong
because
to me.
yeah, it's weird. Like, it's utterly strange to know that's what happened. And luckily the Supreme Court ruled in favor of people like me, and they're like, no, you can't patent this.
Well, they ruled in favor of humanity.
Yes.
Not
And it was
you were the direct beneficiary of the ruling, but
yes.
everybody. Because who's to say this company wouldn't say, all right, we're going to go apply our wares in the Philippines or in,
Yeah.
some other island country where maybe they don't have such strong protections, but we'll patent them over here.
Yeah, and use US patent law to protect them. The other thing that really made it nice was Myriad was about $5,000 per test. Once they lost the patent, the cost went down per test. So like, there's tests out there that are like $250 and they do BRCA panels. And so that's really nice for people who like
$250.
Mhm.
And see, I would be fine if the government came out and said something like, we are going to do, the government will pay for BRCA panels on any of those who want to have it done. And you're going to have people who say, no way. But if you want to have it done, if you've got a history of cancer in your family, jump on that.
And the
Seriously.
hard thing is, like, I have a relative, she's married into my husband's family. Her grandmother died at very young of breast cancer. And other relatives, when she met me and we started talking about the BRCA gene, she has a couple relatives, like female relatives, that really kind of make you go, oh, I wonder if there's something there. And now she can go get tested for $250, because most of the time health insurances won't pay for it, because they're like, well, I know even for me, getting tested was a nightmare because of my dad was positive, and that was a fun time.
Seriously. It's I mean, you may have some of those genetic lines, those magic people who none of their family members get cancer and all that, but they still know someone.
Yeah. Even my husband's family, they don't have like cancer in their family at all. And I'm always so jealous of that. Like, they have like strokes and things like that, but I
Oh, they
don't know
get
any.
heart disease in their side.
Yeah, heart
Let's
disease,
tackle that
strokes.
next. I'm down.
Yeah, would be nice. But yeah, no. So we'll be up at the hill. Just feel free to join us. Happy to have you. It's lunch.
Do
gonna be a
people
lot of
have to sign up to become an ambassador? Or can they just be there to be like another voice?
They're there to be another voice. To become an ambassador, there's 4 of us, and they're separated by congressional districts. So I'm over, I think officially right now, 3rd.
Now, didn't you move up north a little further?
I did. And so that's kind of the thing. We're kind of, the American Cancer Society is kind of waiting to see what happens with the lines to determine who's going to go where and do what.
But you're like kind of personally assigned to a senator and certain representatives. Is that kind of how it is? You go to meet with them and pass on?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your camera went away. Where did
I
it
did.
go?
I froze. I'll come back because I froze. Can you see me?
I can see a frozen you.
Yeah.
You've
So
got your fingers crossed.
I know. Just so professional.
If you need to, you can jump off and jump back on. But
okay.
I do think, I can go on my rants about governments turning gold into shit all day. But if a government actually does something good, I will definitely praise them. And if the government's ever come across a means to alleviate cancer or any of that, that'd be great. Now, tobacco tax laws, that's an interesting one for me. I would love to say, oh, it'd be great if they turned the tobacco taxes over to publicly funding treatment for the victims, but that doesn't really work. They can't necessarily go directly after the producers because of the protections there. So
Right.
realistically, the only tax can be on the people that utilize the product.
Right. And plus too, if you tax the company, it's just going to go right to the person.
Either way, I mean, corporate
Like,
taxes, I've been screaming this forever. All you're doing is either taxing the customer or stealing wages from the employee.
yeah, and that's the hard thing here. And at least with this, it's kind of up front where it's like you're an adult making a conscious decision to buy this.
Mhm.
Therefore, you know what I mean? So like there's that involved. And I think that's so important to have kind of that like, accountability. And I think what's really cool about Utah too is like kind of with this LDS population, there's a more desire to have things like this where it's like, there's more conversation around accountability, which is helpful.
Yeah. I don't smoke. I use the fake chewing tobacco, but I am someone who, like when earlier on last year they wrote the law where you the vapes that were they did away with the flavored vapes.
Yeah.
I was torn on that. I'm of two minds. I think vaping is not good. I mean, for obvious reasons, it's not good. It is also it hits the youth really hard. I don't know a teenager who doesn't do it.
Yeah.
It's addictive. By doing away with it, did they fix it? They made it maybe a little harder, but they also opened up a black market now where these vapes sell for twice as much underground and people are making a living off of driving to another state and bringing them back.
Right.
And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that an enforcement arm hasn't been set up for it. We saw during Prohibition that was an utter failure.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing with it all when you're making these regulations. Like when I worked for a congresswoman, she once told me that bills are never going to be 100% successful.
No.
And they're not also going to be 100% helpful. And that was kind of a huge lesson for me to kind of learn was those really trail mark things. And I think this is one of those things where is it helpful 100%? No. Maybe it helps the few, you know what I mean? But you kind of have, it's like a weighing system almost of what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, obviously the cleanest way to do it is direct taxation. I do believe that a sales tax is the best way to obtain taxes. The problem is governments require, especially a government as large as ours, require huge amount of money. And if they just laid on the sales tax, they would have to figure out how to make everyone rich and want to buy everything.
Right.
So I don't know, but I have to say I'm torn on it. I'm not totally opposed to more taxes on tobacco and adding in vapes, and the taxes will hit me on the fake chewing tobacco that I put in my mouth. I understand that, but if I had to choose the system, I'd rather that. I would hate to see an enforcement arm built up.
Yeah.
Although, if you just tax it, I think that would have been better had they not outlawed the vapes, but they taxed it into unpopularity. I think that
Right.
would have been more efficient than outlawing it, because now there's word on the street is that the kids all go to these certain places in Salt Lake, and that's where they buy their vapes. And their vapes
Yeah.
cost 3 times more because someone's going through the hazard of going and purchasing them.
Right. They're taking that assumptive risk. And the other thing is hard too is how do you tell these kids? This is something I grew up with around, real poor area. Not in Utah, I wouldn't consider a very poor area. It has maybe poor spots, but not like where I grew up. And what always got my bucket was when you tell these kids, well, you should go get a job, a minimum wage job. And it's like, yeah, but they can go do this and sell, what they would make in one day at the minimum wage job in a minute. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the hard thing with it,
Especially when, not to lead into the hit so hard, but especially when the competition that your kid's going up against doesn't carry the same ability to defend themselves in the workforce.
Right.
Especially when it's a group that are making I compare it to kind of a deployment sacrifice. I'm going up to the US to work real hard for X amount of time, send the money home, and then go back home and live wealthily. So that is hard to tell kids that this is going to work out.
Right. Let me refresh my thing now that.
Yeah, you go ahead and refresh it, and I'll chat with Holly for a second. She's getting ready to go into a thing and do a thing. Holly, what's going down?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I miss you guys tonight. I'm excited that Katie's joining tonight. I'm sorry I missed it. Tonight, I am at an event in a town hall for Nicolene Peck. She is hosting, and she's going over stuff that's happening at session this year and everything that Tooele County, Tooele City peeps might care about. And I'm going to be gathering signatures for the Prop 4 reverse. So we are trying to gather signatures. Remember, you've probably seen stuff about it where the judge made a ruling, and Jared and we've talked about this many times on the show. But if you would like to give the ability back to legislature to actually represent you and draw the maps for elections and not combine Tooele County's rural community with the likes of the Salt Lake City community, which is what they're trying to drag us into and take our congressperson away, put us in a whole different district. You can come to Tooele City Police Department tonight at their community room. And if you want to just come in and sign the referendum, you can, or you can come in, stay, and listen to Nicolene Peck and get a grasp of what bills are going in front of legislature this year. And please, it's an open town hall, so you can come and share your thoughts. We welcome everybody, and we just want to hear from you.
All right. So that is at the Tooele City PD. So that's on what, 100 East?
Yeah, off of Utah Avenue. I could give you.
Yeah.
Can I?
But you can go up in there wandering.
On the political head trauma page, I did share on there where you can sign the petition and shared Nicolene's invite tonight, so you can get the address. It's the new police department. It's so nice. And it starts at 7. So if you want to come out and listen to your representative as well as sign this petition, you don't have to sign. It's not required, but you'll get a lot more information about it. And she's doing a Q&A later. So we welcome everybody and your questions.
All right. I'm trying to find the one you shared. I'm sure it's on there somewhere.
Actually, someone put a question on there that I know for sure of about where do I sign, and I posted her invite there. If you don't see it on the actual page, it's in the comments. It was one of the top ones. And I don't
All
know,
right.
am I able to move around on my phone without losing you?
I don't know. Okay, here we go. I might have found it. But so that's go meet Holly there. And if you are so inclined to go and sign it, you want to the thing is, what I would like to see is, if you're a fan of democracy, you should want this to happen, because this at least gives you a chance to make a democratic decision on how your government works through your vote, through legislation. I think a judge doing it just like that just, to me, that sounds like I don't know. Sounds,
Overreach,
yeah.
anti-constitutional?
Well, it sounds like they're stripping away any democratic choice you have.
Yeah, an appointed judge, by the way.
Yes. So it's at 50 North Garden Street, Tooele. That may be a drive for some of you here in the county. If you're out in Wendover, you probably won't make it in time. But Grantsville, Stockton, Lake Point, or Stansbury Park. You guys could make it. Rush Valley, probably. I know all 5 of you out there. You guys could probably make it and get in there. If you want to sign the petition, or even if you just want to hear what Nicolene has to say, find out, what's going on, and, or if you want to argue it, want to
She is a
pose the
wealth
question.
of information. As you know, like, she's been a guest on our show so many times, and not just politically. I mean, her life has been about families and children, education, everything. We've touched on everything with her, and she's been a champion at the Capitol when it comes to some of the bills that a lot of legislators don't want to touch. And it's beautiful that she is so passionate. It's also great. Hi, Katie.
Hello.
I hope you're doing well. I'm excited for your
I
upcoming
am.
event.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and throw Katie's event up on screen real quick.
Yeah, that's going to be at the Capitol, right? This week or
It
next week?
is. No, 20th. We have some time. Goodness, if it was
Okay,
this
then.
week, I'll scream.
And this is for cancer, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're going to be up there lobbying for one of the bills that we have related around tobacco tax. So we're looking forward to it.
So it's fightcancer.org. And if you go to fightcancer.org, look for the Cancer Action Day, ACS Can Utah. We'll put it in the show notes
Do
because
you
it's a
need
whole
to get
thing.
tickets for that, Katie?
You should register. The reason why we ask people to register is we provide lunch.
Oh, I see.
And so it allows us to make sure we have enough food for everyone.
That's a good
You know,
idea.
This is
Yeah.
near and dear to my heart. I lost my dad to cancer, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of people are touched by it. So many, too many to count. So I think anything we can do to bring awareness and bring research dollars and get this figured out. And new with AI, we've talked about this before, Jared, is AI's potentially could be the trick that solves cancer,
Well,
based on research and development and the ability to share all the data in one location. I mean, if we have to deal with AI, how great would it be if it could at least diagnose easier and actually cure cancer that affects
I think
every American?
I think potentially it could too just help us with creative solutions, because I think
Yeah.
in my own workday I use AI and it allows me to come up with different solutions I necessarily hadn't thought about
Yeah.
because of it having such a wide library of information that I personally do not have in my little brain.
well, and
Oh,
nor does
yeah.
your doctor, or nor does your
No.
doctor's network. I mean, this is
Yeah.
what AI, I don't know if we should call it AI, because technically it's not AI. It's an algorithm that gathers everything from the internet and compiles it and then kind of picks through.
Mhm.
So
Except for smart
There,
AI.
except for what?
Smart AI. It's
Uh,
learning.
well,
It's kind of like
It's
machine learning
terrifying.
technology.
It's
but
terrifying, but it is learning.
but the AI, I mean, it makes it so that I don't know. I don't know if doctors use it, but they really should be using it. Just every patient that comes in with a conundrum outside the norm, they should hop on AI and say, look, I'm dealing with this. And it doesn't have to change their mind if they're pointing away, but it's just gathering more information.
Yeah,
As a person who's dealt with chronic illness myself, I have found that now when I get a test, if I put everything into the AI, I have not only got an explainable diagnosis based on my test that the AI gives me, but it also gives me a list of questions to ask my doctors. And it also walks me through the tests that doctors should be ordering for me and exactly what they should be ordering. So now I'm walking in fully prepared to discuss my care. And it's it's amazing. And when you think about all these doctors out in the world who are doing their independent research on willing patients who are trying to fight cancer and what's working, what isn't, holistic, medical, pharmaceutical, whatever it is, and they're compiling that data so that someone like Katie can go in and see it all in real time is, to me, phenomenal. Phenomenal.
It really is. It's pretty much. Now there are some places where it falls short. I'm sometimes
Legal
have a
advice.
rough time getting, like, because it gathers all the information from the internet, it can fall into biases on certain things. But I think when it comes to general stuff, it's probably one of the greatest tools we've invented as man. We just need to start using it.
Yeah,
Well,
and
Utah,
we're
sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
And we're seeing some states really try to address the biasness and having a more forthcoming Texas, because I do privacy law and compliance. And Texas is doing an AI law where you have to, if you're using machine learning, which is you're inputting the data that it's using, you have to tell what your data sets are for your data for people to be able to look at, review, and see if there is going to be a bias. You have to be very public about it.
Mm.
So I think, and the hard thing with it though, right now is legislating it and coming up with these basic rules because it moves so quickly. Because, like, I've seen bills that are already outdated and they've only been put in for like 3-4 months ago to be heard. And
I
it's
just
already just
It's
gone.
moving so fast.
I
It's so
just
fast.
saw that Utah is one of the first states that's allowing AI to do refills
Yeah,
on
number one, I think with
medication
the
Oh,
first
refills.
one.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have to get the initial like prescription from a doctor, and they're careful on ADD medication, pain medication, but the other medications, the AI, you go in and you put all your medications in your doctor's name and everything, and the AI has been 99.9% match on what other doctors will do for refills, and it's double checking your medication doesn't conflict with each
Ooh.
other or cause different side effects. And then if by chance the AI has a question regarding the medication, then they send you to a doctor on the phone, a free video call to talk with a doctor regarding your medication. So, I mean, this is Utah is the first, I believe. I don't know if it's the only, but I mean,
I
it's pretty
think they're
interesting.
the only, I think they're the only ones right now, but I could be wrong. And I will say whenever I go to conferences that are outside of the state, and people hear I'm from Utah, like, to talk about us being a leader in tech and is always just a really proud moment for me personally. Because we tend to be a leader because we have a lot of tech here and we're really trying to work with the tech companies to come up with solutions that make sense for them, but also for consumers as well.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And I mean, it's the future. It's going to be where we go for so much in the future. It's bound to happen. Can't avoid it. Um, writing has been invented and now we get to live with it. So,
Holly can't hear us.
oh, well, now we can talk smack on her. She lost her thing. Okay. Now for the fun subject, if you're
Yes.
ready.
I saw I didn't know what we were talking about tonight, and then I
Well,
saw
I
it and I was
hadn't
like,
planned on. I had wanted you to come on. We initially had scheduled you to come on for
yeah,
announcing your push for cancer research.
yes.
And then Holly is going to this thing. And then I was like, well, just ask Katie if she'll finish out the whole show with me.
Yeah.
But the outstanding part of that is that Katie finishing out the show. Now with me, you get kind of the crazy. I am definitely more on the right side
For sure.
notion of stuff. And Katie is a centrist Democrat. She's definitely not, you're not like a crazy left progressive by any stretch of the word. But you can still open up a perspective because right now, on every situation, the good lady, this Pretti dude, everything going on, it's like we are in the same movie theater, but everyone's watching a different movie. We're seeing everything different. And I have my own crazy opinions, and I'm very familiar with firearms and semi-familiar with actual tactical operations and law enforcement and that. So that gives me a different outlook, but you also get a different outlook. And there's also the natural inclinations that come with. I'm one of those who kind of believe political parties, you're kind of born into it. You're born with the inclination for which political party you end up in. I mean, honestly, right now we have I would argue we have at least 9 political parties. They just all coalesce into 3. They coalesce into Republican, Democrat, and other weird flavors of independent somewhere in there. And they blend.
Yeah, independent or libertarian conventions. Libertarian conventions are my favorite conventions to go to because of the crazy like two sides going on. That's my favorite.
Well, libertarians are wild. They drift across the spectrum where both of the major political parties have kind of coalesced. They both have their extremists in them. Mm-hmm. You know, on one side you have an extremist who's racist and crazy, and on the other side you have your extremist who's racist and crazy. It's just their
different flavor.
Their expression is the opposite way. But I do think you're born with it because it comes with they both kind of come with a flavor of kind of where your elephant, your rider, mostly your elephant lies and then your rider justifies.
Yeah, and I think for so many of us too. Sorry.
No, I'm going to head out. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't want to interrupt you. This is a
you're
great
good, Ollie. You just
conversation.
hop back on if you can. If we're still
everybody,
here.
Come out and see me if you want to sign the petition. I'll be at the Twilla City Police Department, and we're doing a town hall with Nicolene Peck. So come learn about the bills going on at the Capitol, and come and say hi. And then, stay on tune with the show, though, because leave your comments and your likes and share it if you have somebody that you would like to share our show with. We sure love you guys. I love you both. Thank you for being on tonight, Katie.
Love you too, Holly. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
But all right, so we have these inclinations, and right now, was it Jennifer Good? That was her name. Am I correct? It was something.
I believe so. Something good.
Yes. That.
Jen Good.
I think. Jennifer Good. That incident was obviously horrible. No one wants to see that happen, but that one has an easier to explain justification for the use of force.
Well, I think with that one too, the video. This is the craziest Renee Good. This is the craziest thing we're living in the time frame we are. Cameras. You know what I mean? It is so much harder to have, like, something you learn when you're going through criminal law classes, right? Like I did. Witness identification of people or what happened is not very reliable.
No, it actually carries very little weight in court.
Right. And I think we're now seeing where we went from being a socially like a, well, this is what, Tim Bob saw on the, this day. And then it's like, but now it's everything's video, right? And I think what was hard about the Renee Good situation was the fact that how the one camera video that I've seen doesn't angle it very well to see how close that agent that was in front of the car was. You know what I mean?
You can watch his body cam. He was a good initially walking around. He was like 2 feet away, moving to the other side of the vehicle. Everyone argues you're not supposed to walk in front of vehicles and that's all in the weeds. And then everyone says, well, you could clearly see her wheels were turned away, but he couldn't. Because when you're in the front of a vehicle, you can't see which way a wheels is turned. All you see, all he would have heard was tires spinning out, and that vehicle comes at him.
Right.
That's all he would have heard. Now, so that's where I'm not going to go and say she was trying to hit him. I honestly don't believe she was. I think
I don't either.
She was a moron in the snow. And yes, they were trying to agitate ICE. No one can argue they weren't. You don't pull down a street where they're doing operations and then turn sideways on the street, causing kind of a minor roadblock and without trying to agitate them. And then one person gets out. Had they turned and did like the 3-point turnaround and left, you could argue that they were there to agitate, and that's fine. Well, that's not fine. I think there's an appropriate way to protest, and there's inappropriate ways to protest. January 6th, inappropriate way to protest, right?
Yeah.
You don't go getting reckless. I think the best move, if the left right now, both sides are trying to bait the other into hazard. That's very clear.
Yeah.
Because we're heading towards civil war. I'm just going to say it outright. We're heading towards completion of this great experiment, which is what civil war will be. It will be the end. Party over. Mexico was at one time, we were the third world country to Mexico. How's Mexico doing today? And that's because they had a civil war.
Yeah. And I will say too, the hard thing is I don't know as an outsider, and I think people are trying very hard to be expert of things that they are not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how ICE agents are trained. Personally, I would love to know.
I would like to go into that. I would like to go into that. They made a call for ICE agents where it was kind of this public call. Hey, everyone come in, sign up. You can make, however much money a year and whatever. And we'll do an accelerated training. All of that, I think, is a failure on our current administration.
Yeah, because like right now, we're even seeing JD Vance wants to take ICE with him to the Olympics for protection. And I'm sorry, if I was JD Vance or even his wife, I would be questioning their training to protect me if something did go wrong.
Trust me on this. If he takes ICE, he won't be taking the accelerated trained officers. ICE existed before this. ICE has 20 years veterans. ICE has all the things that every other law enforcement has. I promise you, they will be selected. The reason I think he wants to take ICE is because it is an attempt to try to positively boost the administration and ICE at the same time.
My mother is convinced the reason why they want to bring ICE is because the ICE agents who hit the certain level of a quota for how many people they got, that was their free trip to Italy. I don't know if that's true, but gosh, it would be wonky if it was.
Well, imagine if they all hit the quota.
Oh, that would be
Does
wild.
ICE leave the country for 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no. Bless
my
your
home
mom.
country. Yeah, my
Your mom
mom
and
is
your
my
dad
mom.
are diehard blue,
They are
and
more
that's
liberal
fine.
than
So,
I am.
and that's the two different movies where I at least hope that I come across as kind of objective when I look at stuff.
Yeah,
I hope I do. And I know you do. I will
yeah.
vouch for you. I will vouch that you will never come on and say something that you don't believe or say something just to gain political advantage.
No, and I don't like that either. It'll be very interesting too. I do think this idea, this perspective of potentially doing like a positive, hey, it's not that bad, kind of get the officers in front of these world leaders, but because like the mayor of Milan, he's made it very clear he doesn't want the ICE people there. But I don't think he really has the ability. I don't know if he has the ability to say, hey, you can't come in. That would be something I think for the larger um, party of Italy, but it's just so mind. But
I
I
know.
do think potentially it is a publicity stunt a little bit.
Well, yeah, that's what I think 100%. A publicity stunt. Um, while ICE is there, there'll be cameras on them acting calm and official and everything else. But back to Miss Renee Good. Tragedy, she
Yeah.
got killed. I do think that she was, I think her and her girlfriend or spouse, whatever, I think they were incorrect in how they were in how they were protesting.
Yeah.
I do not think they were incorrect in protesting. I think they were incorrect in how.
Right.
The means is one of the issues, but I also do not think that those means was an automatic death sentence. I also don't think that she was killed because of those means. I think she was killed because in a high tense situation, it's never a good idea to make stupid maneuvers.
Right. But I think it goes back to too is like, what is ICE's training around protesters and
Any
these
cop,
types of
any
things?
cop would have shot her. Any
You
cop.
think? Yeah.
100%.
And
A vehicle is a deadly weapon. It's justified in
sure.
Supreme Court law. If someone's running at you in a vehicle, you kill. And everyone says, well, why would you kill him? It doesn't eliminate the threat. What else
And
are
I,
they supposed to do? If someone points a gun at you, are you supposed to, try dodging the bullets? No.
right.
Regardless
And I
of
get
if your actions eliminate them pulling the trigger. But
right. Because I just think right now there's such a with the conversation around that whole thing, it's like, oh, well, he should have, the ICE officer should have done this. She should have done this. You know what I mean? Well, most with the ICE officer with the training aspect. And I think right now, what's being run in the media a lot is these ICE officers have little to no training.
well,
And
some of them, I wouldn't argue that he doesn't. I would want to find out for sure. That very ICE officer was dragged by a vehicle 6 months ago. Dragged
yeah,
by
and
a
see,
vehicle 300 feet and hospitalized.
yeah, and those are
And
those kind
that
of things,
adds in.
right? Right.
That's
It
why you
adds
don't
into,
make dumbass moves, because you don't know if your dumbass move will trigger the individual that has the pistol who's going to put you in handcuffs, who is duly allowed to put you in handcuffs, right or wrong.
Mhm.
Because ICE
Yeah,
officers are law enforcement. ICE officers can make arrests of protesters if protesters step out of line. They have that legitimate legal authority.
right. And the hard thing is with this is like Renee's was so controversial, but then you look at Alex Peretti, which
Yes.
is I don't, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it has been, and I don't know this is an everything one thing, but I think that one hit people a little bit different because there was a weapon in his conceal, which he had a legal concealed permit, but it was just this man was face down, you know what I mean, with his head towards the ground with like six different ICE officers on top of him. Like it just hit a little bit different than Renee's did.
Well, yes. and also it hit people different who want to be hit different.
Yeah.
I'm going to share something on screen right now. This is the supposed weapon of Alex Pretti right here.
It's blue.
That is a Sig Sauer P320. I own one of these. It is a pretty thing that lives in my safe and never comes out for a reason. This weapon is notorious right now. Matter of fact, Sig Sauer is losing lawsuits left and right. Left and right. Oh, the Sig Sauer P320 has been the subject of numerous lawsuits, primarily due to safety concerns and allegations of defective design. Here are some of the key points. Several injuries have concluded that the P320 was defectively designed, leading to multi-million-dollar verdicts against Sig Sauer. And what that defective design is that it has what is known in the business as a negligent discharge. You can watch video after video of this weapon system going off in the holster.
Do you think this is something, and I've never been in one of these situations with what the ICE officers are dealing with. Do you think this is one of those situations where they saw and they automatically knew it was this type of gun within that type of holster?
Well, they may have. They may have. But I don't think this type of gun had any relevance as to their actions, right or wrong. Now, if you don't mind, I would like to just watch the video with you if you're okay with
that's
that.
fine. Yeah.
Okay, everyone, I apologize. The video is a lot of whistles and horns going off. And if you want me to pause it, just hit pause and yeah, just tell me to pause it and we'll discuss it. Open discussion. Anyone in the audience, if you have any comments about it, please bring it up. Yeah, you see that right there?
Yeah.
Okay. First argument I've got is, okay, so the officer, I don't know what led up to that officer shoving that individual.
Yeah.
I honestly don't care. That is, let's say if that person's in traffic and about to get hit, shove them. But other than that, you can approach that situation more effectively. Or if you're going to place that individual under arrest, do that. But you don't just start shoving someone to the sidewalk.
No,
I'm
I
going to say
agree.
that outright right now. Okay. And then there's Alex Pretti there in the brown. He hits him, sprays him. The officers are gathering up. That first officer did that push. I would have him on street duty. I would have him driving a desk at the most. He overreacted. That's not how you deal with it. Now, about the masks, I'm ambivalent on the masks. I'll say that right now. I'm ambivalent.
And the hard thing is the mask thing, couple thoughts. What I will say that couple things. One, him automatically just going straight to pepper spraying and everything else, he keeps escalating the situation. Like it's already tense there. You're and like officers, my brother-in-law is going through the academy right now, and he talks a lot about the training they get as officers to de-escalate.
Yes, she's there yelling at him. He couldn't have walked over and said, "Hey, let's walk to the sidewalk."
Right.
And we will, you can yell at me. Have one officer that has thick skin, you know, kind of self-assured in himself, go over there and just take the abuse. Just allow them to yell at him.
Right.
That's a de-escalation.
Yes. And the other thing with the mask situation, what I don't like personally is right now, you don't have badge numbers, you don't have masks. Like if you go to a cop and you say, I want your name and badge number because you want to file a complaint, you can do that. It's harder in these situations
100%.
to really nail, these ones that are causing real issues.
100% I agree. The one caveat I would lay out is that, forgive me, but your extreme brethren has been
Oh, doxing is an issue.
not just doxing, but they're saying where family members are. They're putting like kids in danger.
Yes. And
Did
I
you
don't
hear about where they an ICE officer got deployed somewhere? So the kennel decided to quit feeding his dog when they found out he was an ICE officer.
Jeez. Yeah, and see, I don't like I'm with you. Like I think when those kind of things happen where kids are at trouble, you know what I mean? Like and those types of things, that's an issue.
So,
But I think there's a system of having like numbers. You can say my number is XYZ, you
and
know what
I
I
would,
mean?
and I just think I would tell ICE unmasked, but I would run through legislation that if you dox one of our law enforcement officers for nefarious purposes, you're in jail until you're old and gray and your cock quits working.
Right.
And I would
And
just
once
make it
again,
like that and then enforce that.
yeah, and I think that should be for cops, law enforcement, like
All of them,
I think
100%.
yeah, even we're seeing a real big push right now for privacy for judges.
Well,
Across
there
the
was the
country.
Supreme Court judge that the guy went to go kill.
Yep. Well, and there was another guy. He killed the judge's son. It's called Daniel's Law.
Yeah.
And the Daniel was killed because of his parents' ruling
Yeah.
on something.
So we need
I
to
get it.
enforce laws that make it so that I almost want to make it so that if you're a political actor and you abuse stuff, you have this, you're going to be really old when we let you loose.
Right. And I don't even care if it's a political actor. Like I have an issue with
Yeah.
doxing just in general. Like
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of it. I think because the problem is you're not just doxing the adult, you're doxing their relatives, their kids in the
Family
house that
members.
did not ask to be, you know what I mean, associated with this person.
Yes. Yes. But back to this Alex Pretti, it appears that because he's popped up in another video engaging with ICE. And we have found out in recent months that there has been a signal group of people who put out there just to stop ICE from completing their task. And one of the members of that signal group, one of the admins, okay, a lot of the members are individuals in Minneapolis government, but the lieutenant governor is also a member of that. So I think that's where we start pushing up towards a line of, is she acting as a Jefferson Davis? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's scary. But I would like to get into that a little more later, but I want to finish this video and tell you kind of my thoughts. So you watch it. They all gather around. Somewhere in there, they're called gun. They gather around and start trying to disarm him. You're going to see this guy in the gray jacket. He's going to take the gun. He's going to peel away. Watch it close. Bam, right there. Okay. All right. We're going to go back real quick. Just a second.
Was it the guy that shot the woman that did the shooting?
What's
so
that?
hard. Was it the
No.
guy? Was it a different person then?
No, he disarms him. He gets the gun to go away, but you see him, it looks like while he's carrying the gun, and if you were to zoom in on it, while he's carrying the gun, it looks like it has a negligent discharge.
Oh, so you're wondering if the ICE officer shot him or the individual?
No. I know the ICE officer shot him.
Okay.
I wonder if the initiation of the ICE officer's shooting was that negligent discharge off to the side. Because remember, let's go from their
I see
picture.
what you're saying.
So
yeah.
They're in tunnel vision right now because they're in combat right now.
Right.
The L gun, they move into combat mode. They all converse on where the gun is to try to eliminate it. Right? He's on the ground. They're only seeing what's that 8-inch by 4-inch box in front of their head. Their
Right.
periphery is shut off. They've gone into combat reflexes. One officer gets the gun and secures it. The rest may not know. Now, should it be a policy that when he gets the gun, he immediately yells, "I have control of the weapon"? Do they know whether he has another one or not? I don't know. He
Right.
gets the gun and moves to separate because now he has a weapon in his hand. And you can see when he's holding it. I thought about bringing mine in here so I could show you with mine.
Yeah.
But YouTube is unfriendly towards guns that aren't at a range or whatever.
Right.
But he's holding it so that the trigger is here, but he's got full palm on the hand grip. So he's not touching the trigger. This gun is notorious for negligent discharges, including in the military. This is the military's weapon now too. 6 Hour likes to use their customers as R&D. It's terrible. But he's holding it and he's running, and you see him, it jerks, and then he kind of jumps. At the same time, you hear that gunshot, and then you hear all the other guns go off.
Right.
So I think in lieu of that, they're not going to get any criminal charges on those guys for the shooting. But I believe they should get criminal charges on the guy for the escalation. Be it light criminal charges, but I think that escalation, when he first starts shoving them and then just pulls out the pepper spray and starts hitting them. Granted, I don't have the whole picture. I would like to know why. Why was he shoving them?
The hard thing is, though, that would be curious. And I think for me as a moderate, would it be nice for some criminal charges with this, especially with the escalation aspect? Yes. What I personally would like to see more is policy changes.
Sure.
Policy changes, because like you're saying, you know what I mean? If that gun notoriously, has an issue with, accidentally firing, and, that guy jumped and then they all started doing their thing. Like you said, he could have said, I have a gun, you know what I mean? Instead of, going, and not telling them and then seeing it through that, that box, as you're saying. And that's the thing is, like, I work in the legal space, right? The hard thing with criminal charges with this is I don't see it being realistic too, because I think right now you're gonna have to fight an uphill battle with immunities for these officers, if these officers do or do not have immunity. Because
I think you're going to see states start pressing charges on these officers. Outside of that, we're moving into a very ugly space nationally.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what the Democrats did to Trump. They kept trying to drag him into court for every other thing that they could. 34 charges off of one instance because they figured they could. I mean, there's a reason they lost, because they overstepped their legal bounds.
Right. And I think that's become the game lately.
I think the Republicans are going to play it too.
Well, they have. You look at like some of these people like Letitia Jones.
Well, that's the response. That's the response. They're doing they're getting Letitia James for the exact same thing that she went after Trump for. She was doing it while she was trying to convince someone of doing it.
And that's the hard thing, is this tit for tat right now. And I think what is so unfortunate is I think majority of Americans agree. I think at the end of the day, we all agree. And I think the higher overlords have this fighting to the point that everything feels like it's rocket fire hot and no one feels safe.
I think it's the extremes are the ones doing that. I think the moderates agree. You and me agree on we had too much illegal or even undocumented immigration. What I mean by undocumented is under Biden, he made it a policy to just let them get away. Don't even get their name. At the same time, he's locking us down for COVID. He's letting just random people come in and wander about, which is a lot to think about. And I don't know how far you agree on we need to reset that scale a little bit. I don't know how far misaligned we are there, but I think we both agree that we want that scale for the average immigrant who came here and committed no violent crime to be reset humanely and kind of civilized. You know, we want them to, okay, you came here illegally. We're going to write down your name and we're going to send you back to your country of origin. And kind of a no harm, no foul situation this time. Do it again.
Right.
And, you know, or if you have a track record of doing it, then maybe, you know, we'll make it so that we will not allow a visa for you to come back into our country, period.
Well, and I think it speaks largely to the fact that we need better immigration
Oh, we do.
policies and guidelines, because like I can tell you from what I've seen, you know, I have a family friend who has been deported back to Canada for a speeding ticket she did not know she had. It was one of those like capture on the camera, because in the East Coast they do that a lot. Didn't even know she had the speeding ticket until she was deported. And that's an unfortunate thing. You know what I mean? Has luckily, you know, attorneys, but it's those kinds of things. Like, why are we deporting someone who has a speeding ticket?
But what I want to know, she was deported for the speeding ticket, or was she deported for an overstayed visa? The speeding ticket just
Speeding ticket. She had all of her papers. She was fine.
Then how did what was the cause to deport someone for a speeding ticket?
I will say she did leave the States. Had tried to get back in, couldn't get back into the States, and she was on the ICE list, and they said you can't go back. So she can't go home to her family because of the speeding ticket.
By nature, I'm an open borders person.
Yeah.
By nature, because I believe that open borders cause more innovation, which we're standing proof of that. But I also, like Ludwig von Mises said, I recognize that we cannot have open borders in a welfare state because one will consume the other. I mean, look at the Somali immigrants there in Minneapolis. Is the reason ICE is there because under COVID, a whole bunch of welfare systems were built up, and they, as a community, got in and said, this is a way to get rich, and they abused it. There's an argument about,
the hard thing with that, though, is where I see it is like, but who are the people ICE is going after at this point in time in Minnesota?
I think ICE is there as a show of force.
I do too.
It's 100%. It's 100% red meat for the Republicans who got up in arms when Nick Shirley found all that fraud. That fraud is definitely happening. They have been investigating it. I do believe Tim Walz is, how do I say this gently? I believe Tim Walz knows about it and accepts it because he gets donor contributions from it. I believe the same with Ilhan Omar. It is what it is, but it sounds to me like a lot of those investigations ran up to the head of the governor's office and he shut them down from there.
Yeah, and I would be curious because there's a lot of
these are investigations that have been going on for years. These aren't new. These aren't investigations that started a month ago.
Right. And my curiosity with someone like this individual, and this is where I have a problem, is trusting this person that's doing this research to be honest. Because I think so much right now it's just this clickbait thing. And it's like,
have you watched his video on it?
Very little. I've seen bits and pieces, but not enough to be like, okay, I'm getting it. You know what I mean? Like,
if he's going to the buildings and one of his questions is, I want to sign my kid up for your daycare, and they're like, oh, we don't do that.
Yeah, and see, that's strange. But once again, like, I get worried about doctoring of videos when it comes to stuff like that. Like, it's like,
What about the local news affiliate that 10 years ago did the exact same thing
Right. And they might, you know what I
and
mean?
found
They
the
might have,
same conclusions?
right. And I'm not disagreeing that it's not happening. My more curiosity is what type of, when you do an investigation in my line of work, you have to be non-biased and be
Well,
like going in there with a purpose. You know what I
let
mean?
me
And
ask you a question.
yeah,
In your line of work, does your investigation have direct outcomes where what you say is the decision?
it can be, yes. And
In
that,
in a YouTuber's line of work, he has no direct options like that. So
and that's
all he
true.
can do is just say, "Here's the world as I see it now."
Yeah.
And hand it off and let other people. Now, why hasn't Minnesota been able to come out and say, no, here's our records of this? Because what Minnesota
Right.
did do was come out and say the day after, oh, the Learning Center had their license revoked, and the Learning Center. And the day after that, the owner of the Learning Center came out and said, oh, no, we've got lots of kids here. I don't know why you're coming after us. So break that one down for me.
The
So it
other thing
sounds to
I
me
would
like the
wonder,
government did a CYA. The owner
yeah,
came out and did a CYA wearing his, $3,000 glasses. And then there's also, and this goes deeper, there's a lot of investigations surrounding this that I think the truth will come out to it. And I will say this when I can't remember the guy's name. There's a guy, a warlord, for lack of a better term, who goes on the news in Somalia, who owns one of these companies, and says, I am bringing the money I take from their home to build an army to take over.
yeah.
So
And I,
if you're pro taxes, you should be anti
oh, absolutely
getting
anti-fraud.
screwed
Yeah.
on your taxes.
I did Google this to look at it. Um, and it's coming back to me more, but like one of the companies, they had 10 operational violations and 121 violations from May 2022 to June 2025. I'm sorry. Like, what do you mean you had that many violate? Like, obviously they were getting audited, but like if I go, like I was just my company, we get audited for accreditations because we try to be fancy and get all these accreditations. If I had that many violations over the course of 3 years, I wouldn't have my accreditations anymore. Like, they had this many. Like, okay, I'm not getting on board with you on that one. Like, that's crazy. Like,
But
I'm sorry.
what if your political machine is reliant on this continuing because such a large donation block comes in to continue your political machine, which I think is what's happening with Tim Walz
I
and
wonder
Ilhan
too,
Omar.
like a voting block more.
And it's
Is
also a
it,
voting, but
I would think it's more of a voting block than a money block.
100%.
I mean,
So, and on to a further point. I am not a psychologist, but I have enjoyed studying it in my life. And I believe when you look at social psychology,
mhm.
you get two types of immigrants. You get the immigrants like your ancestors that came over here to build a permanent life that they were going to be a part of.
My family would be the bad choice of that for sure.
Well, but those are the people who they come over to buy property, to build a house, to stay there, right?
Yeah. I mean, my family always felt like they would get back to Italy and then finally they like gave up. Mostly, you
But,
know what I mean, that they would never go home. But yeah, I get
and
your point.
and maybe your family falls in the other side, but you get that side. Like my ancestors came over from Scandinavia, and they're like, this is where we live. They changed their last name to Americanize it at Ellis Island. My ancestors that came from Great Britain, they all came over. They said, this is where we're going to live. We're planting roots.
Right.
And then you get another part of immigration, which is the more transient type. They're not the ones that care about the community. They're going to stay there as long as that community serves their better ends. And then they'll move to the next one. But those ones also come with them. They are not afraid of, I shouldn't say like that. They are the ones where a subset of them are the criminals, the ones that do the bad things, you know, that rape nurses in parks and things like that. They're on the majority, all of them on the whole are the ones that will tend to, they'll move into a place and let it run down underneath them and then just leave. They're more prone to litter and things like that. And because they're not building roots, they don't care about what this place looks like when they leave it.
I think some of it too is that I think majority of people, and I think when I say my ancestors, you know, my family was the coal mining people, and you know, what I mean, they looked at it and they were going around to the different coal mines and what suited them, and then they finally gave up and came and said, "We're going to live here." But I think the biggest thing today with the different people is purpose. What is, like you're saying, their purpose of coming here? You know what I mean? I think majority of people who immigrate to this country come with good intentions and good hearts and want to do good and to be a part of our society here.
I don't have any opinion on whether that's true or not. I do know that a lot of money leaves the country, which tells me that those people aren't coming here to stay. They're coming here to send money back for a nest egg back home and then go back home. But even they aren't.
Sometimes though, it's even supporting family back
sure.
home.
And even then, yes, 100%. Even then, those can be, and a lot of times are, a positive on the community. When I say the transient ones, I mean particularly the ones that want to just go there and use up as much of the system as they can until they can't use it anymore and leave. The ones that go there and open fraudulent businesses and apply for billions. It is billions of dollars is what they're thinking was stolen just from Minnesota.
Well, and I think
what would Utah look like? What would Utah look like if we had $8 billion embezzled from us?
Oh, there would be riots on the street, understandably so.
Minnesota undoubtedly had at least 4 billion. And the suggestion, the speculation is it was upwards and beyond 8 billion.
And it's absolutely, I don't think this shouldn't be a partisan issue or bipartisan issue. This should just be, this is terrible that this happened and there needs to be some form of correction. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like,
but
it
what
doesn't
if the
matter.
partisan government relies on it?
And that's the interesting piece that I think you would have to do. Once again, there has to be some form of investigation. I don't know in that state who is the overseer of these things. I would think the attorney general would probably be the one that's looking into it.
Well, the attorney general also looks like he was in on it. It's Ellison.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's the
they're
hard
in a
thing
convection. If you're in Minnesota and not in Minneapolis, you've been robbed, and you're
right.
being robbed, and you're continuing to be robbed. It's funny. If you took Minneapolis out, the Democrats would hold nothing in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
But they're being robbed just the same. It doesn't matter who you vote for. You're being robbed.
Yeah, and the other thing you have to remember too is that landmass doesn't vote for people. People vote for, or you know what I mean? Because that's
it's very true. It's very true. Where you put a lot of people, it carries a heavier vote.
And it's just,
but that
so
still doesn't negate that the guy in the upper side of Minnesota isn't like, maybe his state retirement is in jeopardy because the state lost $8 billion.
Yeah. I mean, Waltz is not ready running, which is probably for the
No,
best.
he's dropping out.
Hopefully.
He dropped out because of this.
Yeah. Which is honestly for the best.
It is. What would you say about his lieutenant governor possibly being a part of a group that uses the Signal app to try to interrupt immigration enforcement?
I have mixed feelings because on one hand, I think it is very. I have been a leader in a political things prior, right? Something I always thought about when I was a leader. We never did protest because I did not want to take the responsibility if someone got hurt. I emotionally could not live with myself if one of my people got hurt because I said, let's go protest this. So for me to hear that, it bothers me from a leadership perspective to when you knowingly know that there have been issues going on and to say, hey, this is where they're going to be at. Let's all show up. Let's do our thing. That makes me nervous. And it's probably not, it's probably, some of my fellow Democrats would feel I'm cowardly for saying it like that, but I don't love it from a safety perspective,
Mm-hmm.
The other aspect too is like, do I think you have a right to protest ICE? Absolutely. Do I think you should be allowed to videotape them? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I just wonder, for me, I'm fine with the protesting of ICE. I think I am burned out on protests that are obnoxious.
Yeah.
But that's just because I'm burned out on obnoxious. But my concern is if this is a kind of a ultra left underground blocking group that seems to be starting to get militant, that signals to me that one day I'm going to wake up and we're going to have declarations of secession happening.
Right. And I mean,
put yourself in the other shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Remember down in Texas a few years back when the National Guard was called in to try to strengthen the border and ICE went down and tore down what they did. ICE was working for the other side back then. It's hilarious where ICE was tearing down any kind of border that the Texas National Guard put up.
Right.
What if Republicans, what if the lieutenant governor down there, I forget his name, one of my favorite guys ever, and I forget his name, the one that came out and said when they started locking people down, they arrested that hairdresser down there. He put up for bail. The lieutenant governor did. And he said, I've lived a good life. I want my kids to have the same opportunity. He called it right.
Is it Dan Patrick?
Yes.
Texas. Yeah. Dan Patrick.
What if he had a signal group to get down there and block ICE? How would
it wouldn't go well? Like, and that's the hardest thing with this is
we've reached a tit for tat. The Democrats are going to win again. What does it look like then? Do we have Republicans out there fomenting violence?
My curiosity would be from her perspective, the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, Minnesota, Peggy, is I would be curious to know what was the strategy thinking behind having this chat like this? What was the strategy?
But I think Democrats thrive on disruption to civilization right now. The overall Democrat Party tends to act like that. We see that a lot. Look at Black Lives Matter. Look at all that.
Yeah, and the hard thing is like I think this is my issue with some of these causes, right? Is I think they have good intentions, like a lot of things, and then it goes to smithereens very quickly. with really, because I think so badly lately. I look at these people sometimes, Black Lives Matter, even look in Utah. There was a prior leader of Black Lives Matter who I personally don't feel like her heart was in it for the right reasons. I think people become leaders of these things
What was
for
her name?
themselves.
Charmaine.
Lex Scott was the one I was
Oh,
referring
Lex
to.
Scott. She tried charging us $9,000 to come on the show.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, she was
and
in it
like,
for the exact same reasons all the other BLM leaders were in it.
but the hard thing with it is like, do I think on its face the Black Lives Matter movement was a good idea? Yes. But I think when you get these people who are so egocentric, that's when you're having problems. And I think both parties have these people who are the problem. You know what I mean?
Oh, undoubtedly. It's just one party comes out in support of theirs.
I mean, I think with the Republicans, with their support of their movements, it's so hard to tell at times where Republicans are supporting them and then where they're not. Because
Well, yes, but the Democrats come out and openly support them.
and that might be the difference.
And the
there,
Republicans are quiet. If they're supporting them, they're quiet about it. The one time was when Trump said to the Proud Boys, stand back and stand by, which was obviously stupid. But let's face
that was
it,
the
the
one I
Proud
was
Boys,
thinking of.
but that's the one time, the one instance. I can give you Obama. I can give you Joe Biden. I can give you Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, all of them coming out and making pro violent protest speeches. Another thing you can't say is not one time, except for January 6th, but they had a target that I'm still confused, but not one time did you have a right-wing protest that turned violence against any business or anybody's private property. Not one time. Not one time did Proud Boys take a torch to a business or a building.
No, and I would agree with that sentiment. I don't know of any time of that ever happening either. My issue with it is the hard thing becomes, with when Utah had its protest here, you know what I mean? And the cop car got flipped and put on fire and everything else.
And that they them was there taking a poo on it.
Yeah, it was so bad.
They
and
took a picture. That person's got to live with that picture for the rest of looking like as deep into junkiism as a person can get. That is what that person will be known for.
And the problem is that at its heart, just some of these things are important, yes. But I think it's these people who they've made politics so much their identity.
Let me ask you a question. Has law enforcement engagements with Black people in Utah been exorbitantly negative in the last 30 years? Have there been a lot? I mean, first of all, I think the George Floyd event was a hazy bag of bullshit. I think the message that was given is all bullshit. There's a deeper message that really should be explored, but it won't be because of convenience for both sides. But has there been a lot of Black men killed by police officers in Utah?
So it says, I Googled it, from the policing commission. Data shows that Black residents were 10.8 times more likely to be killed by police than white residents.
Sure, but then let's look at their crime. Let's look at their crime rate. Let's look at their engagement, whatever. But I want to know, can you think of the last time a Black man was shot by Utah police?
The last one I can remember was he was having a mental health episode and he had like swords outside the Panda Express, but I don't remember any other time.
So that being stated, why did Utah have a Black Lives Matter protest that turned violent for the tax? It turned expensive for the
Right.
taxpayers. Why did it have that? Because the Democrat Party, the party on the whole, wanted the societal interruption, because for them, they look, no offense, but the Democrats are willing to burn this nation down to win another election.
Yeah, and I mean, I personally, I feel like once again it's these extremists. It's
But
like
the
me as a part, most people I work with in the party are not like
100%,
this. And that's the
100%.
hardest thing is like, because I look at some of this, like, I remember when that protest was going on, I wasn't there. I don't do protests.
I don't either. I
And
will not. One, I carry a pistol every day.
right,
You're not going to find my happy ass at a voluntary interaction with law enforcement ever.
no,
Ever. I am, if there's a protest here, I go over there. I don't care. I don't want to video it. I don't want to be I don't want to be on stage talking about it. No, I don't get involved in that, because I'm a firm believer in don't go to dumb places, don't do dumb things, and don't hang out with dumb people.
I agree. And that's my issue with it, because I remember when it was happening, I had spoken to some people who went, and they were saying the people who were the actual protest organizers were yelling at people to stop doing the shenanigans, right? And I think at that point it becomes like the crowd control issue, right? That is such a huge thing. And it's
Let's face it. Okay. All right. I know I've been disparaging Democrats awful hard because they're working awful hard at making me a Republican lately. I am a registered independent. I have voted one time in 28 years. I voted for Bill Clinton and then Donald Trump this last go around because Kamala Harris was like sour milk in my mouth. The shit her and retard Walls would say about they want to shut down free speech, that the free speech one was the big one for me.
yeah.
There's no such as free speech. Tim Walz said that. No, I'm not stupid. No. Anyways.
Right.
So, and I voted for Bill Clinton because I was in the army at the time and he was the boss of the army at the time. And I thought, nah, he's my boss. I don't remember who he's running against. But, okay. I'm going to go at this gentle. Each side gets their crazies.
Yeah.
The Republicans' crazies live out in the hollers and the woods. So if you get a protest of 4 people out in the hollers, it's probably going to get crazy, and it definitely won't make the news. The Democrats' crazies live in the cities. Now, if you start a protest in the cities, hundreds show up.
Right.
It will make the news. You will get a picture of a purple-haired shitting on an upside-down cop car.
Right. The other hard thing I think too is that I think the Republicans are more, you have like the guys in the woods, right? But even like even the crazies that don't live in the woods per se, there's also this like code of how to act.
But that's the moderates you come into interaction with, just like the Democrats out in the woods. The Democrats you come into interaction with are moderates.
True.
The crazies are in the cities, and the crazy Republicans are out in the woods, and they're building booby traps around their 0.5 acres.
See, and I see even like Republicans that I've met that are active, involved in things, and like that I'm like, why are you here? You know, like there's even some electeds that I'm just like, ooh. But I think with them, they still know how society functions and how what is best to hide the crazy.
Well,
to us not know. Does that make sense?
Yes, that is true. But those may be people with ideals, but they're not crazy. Just like There's
That's fair.
Democrats in the cities with ideals. Your parents
Yeah.
will sit and scream at a TV and believe conspiracy theories.
Yes.
Is your mom going to go shit on top of an upside down police car?
Absolutely not.
Right?
Right. And I would
So
agree with that. That's a very fair
she may
point.
fall onto that just touching the super blue extreme, but she's
Right.
not. And that's why the Democrats are going to get a bad rap in any protest.
Yeah,
Because
and I could see that.
the Republicans, they could honestly, they they don't get madness of crowds. Crowds have a madness all their own. But if you're out in the woods and you gather your 4 nut jobs in the whole county together, they're a crowd of 4 people. They're probably going to end up drinking beer, maybe going down to the fishing hole,
Everyone knows that
right
Jim
now.
Bob is a little bit of the crazy and you stay away.
Now, I want to mention we are in a flux of pendulum change. And we've talked before, I'm a nut job that looks at history, obscure history. And I remember the last kind of pendulum shifting moment when the Republicans went into retreat, not the Republicans, when the nationalist group, which most of them back then were honestly Democrats in the 70s and 80s, they were still members of the active Ku Klux Klan and the white supremacists. They were still Democrats, but now they would be called Republican, although their leaders, like that Byrd guy, still voted Democrat. That's a confusing thing, but that wasn't a pendulum retreat where it was between Republican, Democrat. It was between nationalists and kind of an open internationalist idea. When they went into retreat in the 80s and they were in cities, that's when you started seeing them get into different groups and doing weird stuff. Like, have you ever heard of Elohim City?
I have.
Yes. Tell me what you know about Elohim City.
Trying to remember. Isn't it in Oklahoma?
Maybe Arkansas. But what it was a white nationalist kind of training camp.
Right. Because there's another group that's trying to
McVeigh was down there.
Because I think a Mennonite started it, which is something I would remember. I think he was Mennonite.
God, the Mennonites are so hard. I want to say it was in Arkansas, but wherever it was, it ended up in Oklahoma before they shut it down in Oklahoma City, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
A couple of the guys went there and did some things. Timothy McVeigh spent a lot of time in Elohim City. So that's when you have the pendulum shift, you get this stuff coming out of the woodwork. Now, I do believe the Democrats are more prone to having protests because the Democrats, okay, I'm going to try not to be offensive. Because the Democrats are female-coded progressive party. And female-coded groups tend to have more protests because male-coded groups, when they get initiated, they tend to have more extreme violence.
And it makes me wonder why that is for female coded, right? Because you think about female coded and the nurturing aspect of it and the sensitivity and the empathy. But I think you could also say with that too, with that level of empathy at times, that's why you become that way.
There's good and bad to both sides.
Yeah. And I think some of it too, and that might be the case. My issue with it is, whether it's female coded, male coded, whatever. I think the issue is that we have a little bit thrown out some of the standards of what is acceptable. And I think too, with the misinformation I think when people think of like the civil rights movement, right? And they think, wow, look at all the things Martin Luther King Jr. did. He was not, it makes you wonder, like, if he saw today, what he would think. You know what I mean? Because like sit-ins, sit-ins were not typically, you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I'm saying? And it makes me wonder, like, have we skewed history so much that we think this is important? Now, you know, Malcolm X, different mantra, different philosophy, you know, of
And
how to
also
deal
a
with these
hardcore
things.
Republican.
Yes. And so it's like, I just don't I think there's a lot of theories of why it is happening like this, but none of them are good.
I
Um,
think, yes. Also, I think there's more about the civil rights movement that we don't know. I think there were higher groups that were planning and guiding that in a more intelligent way. I know everything's been laid on Martin Luther King, but I think there was more. And it was brilliant, really. Go out there and be abused publicly
yeah,
so that they see. And it worked. And
it did.
this one is not working. This one is the opposite of working, unless you are a young liberal white woman or a man who is simping for young liberal white women, and then it's working. And that's another thing I want to bring up. How coddled have young liberal white women been that they feel like they can go up and push an armed police officer who that morning got dressed to possibly go to war with an illegal immigrant?
That is something. I'm mixed, right? Like my dad's mixed, and like I don't look mixed, or you know, I'm white presenting, whatever, however they say it. What is so crazy about me is I'll never forget when my dad gave me the talk about how, and I was, you know, he said there are going to be times people judge you because of your skin tone or because who your family is and stuff like that. And, you know, these people can do these things, right? But you can't. Like you yourself cannot be doing
Oh,
this.
but you can now. Well,
Well,
you can't because you look white.
yeah.
You can say anything you want disparagingly against white people and receive no repercussions.
Well, here's my issue with it is like you watch these people, like these white people that go up to these officers and they never got to talk. You know what I mean? That they never got to talk of explain like, hey, there's some like my dad once told me, he said there are some places you'll even find where you're not welcome and you just need to accept that. And it's like that. It's like I would rather preserve my skin than going into a place that I'm not accepted and I'm putting myself in danger.
There's only but and I don't mean, I'm not trying to sound like a victim because I'm fine with it. But the only group on earth right now who can be prejudiced against and no repercussions is young white men. They're the only one that no one will come to bat for.
Yeah, and I definitely, and I've told you this before, I think I did not realize how much that was an issue until 2024 election cycle because I was working on like 6, 7 campaigns, like the kids. And I remember talking to these young men down at Provo area and them talking to me about that, about how I'm not going to vote for a Democrat because they don't see me, they don't care about me, those kind of things. And it really changed my viewpoint as because like sometimes you hear in Democrat circles, oh, well, they just need to accept it's not their time anymore. How do you tell a 16-year-old that's been on this planet for 16 years that just because history that came before him, it ain't his time no more? That's unfair. You know what I mean? Like that's just crazy. Like allow him to prove himself by the merit of who he is, not because of what he is. And I didn't ever think like I didn't understand that until I started talking to youth about it, young white men about it, and it was shocking.
It gets scarier. Young men are relooking at World War II and they're starting to picture a different hero come out of that.
Yeah.
Because they are feeling shut out.
Yep.
They're feeling that this society that everyone claims was built for them is actually working, not working for them, it's working against them.
Yeah.
At every turn. At every turn. That guy up in Portland, that black guy who stabbed the guy, and after the guy was stabbed, he called him the N-word. I think Portland. It could have been anywhere up there in the Cascade kooky land. After he was stabbed, he called him the N-word. And because after the guy violently attacked someone with a deadly weapon, he was called a negative pejorative, he got off.
Which is wild. If you know what I mean. Like, and that's the hard thing with it all is just like I look at these young men and them feeling so isolated. And because I think part of it too is like, as the Democratic Party, we really promote this idea of empathy. I really
Except
believe,
for,
and that's my issue with it, is that I believe in empathy for all, not for a certain people.
you
You know what I mean?
remember, it seemed like over 10 years we had a scourge of school shootings, right?
Yeah.
Notice how that's kind of died?
Yeah.
Unless you're a transgender. That seems to be alive and well. And they've never reported on inner city black youth, their school shootings. That's never been,
Right.
which has always been more than the white youth school shootings, but they chalk it up as different than the white school shootings. I think that was a cry for attention from white youth that were getting blown out in society.
And it's very possible. The hard thing is
You notice it's died?
I have, but I never know if it's just because we have so much other crazier news cycle going on that they're
I
just
think
like,
it's because
whatever.
young white men, it was their cry for help and it didn't work.
Right.
I think we should be scared of what their next cry for help will be.
I mean, I don't disagree with that whatsoever. And I think that's why some of these movement and people and things are so interesting to them. Like I have relatives of my own that talk about certain things that I'm like, oh, I don't know if this ideology is something you should be aligning with because of, you know what I mean? Like you're just like, ooh, I don't think that's right. And you try to gently guide them. And I don't disagree with you, but the hard thing is right now is that I'm not a professional therapist, psychologist, but what do you do? You know, even as these parents that are finding these kids like this, what do you do? It's not the olden days you
My
get beat it
opinion
out
is
of them or something.
we've got to, I don't know. We've got to figure out how. We got to start at the one place they all interact with. We got to start out, how do we make schools an equitable place for everyone? Because right now it's equitable for young women.
Schools, jobs, those kind of things, because, you know,
How do we do it? And that it's going to take a big culture change. One,
Yeah,
we
and
need
that's-
to separate federal government from our education. That needs to be handled locally, I think. I think you'll be able to respond locally. It's pretty asinine when the state of Utah has to formulate its education system around what Southside Chicago needs.
Yeah, and I don't know enough about how the educational thing goes forward. My only concern with removing a federal sense of entity is for special education, because a lot of those standards are made, so the states would have to implement something.
Sure.
You know,
Sure, let
that's kind of
the states implement it. But even then, why does Utah, why does special ed have to be managed on a federal level? And why does Utah have to respond for their special ed as to what the needs of Southside Chicago are, or Mobile, Alabama,
and I do
or why does Utah have to respond to what Wyoming needs?
right. Because I will say, like, in some aspects, I personally feel like there needs to be a set guideline. You know what I mean? Whatever that is. But we have to be so mindful too of who is regulating this stuff because, like, right now in the ledge, there is a bill that's up about technology in schools to ban it completely. The problem is with it is what do you do for kids that have hearing aids like me, or their um their sugar, like a lot of these for diabetic kids.
Like they did
Their
with that
mom,
kid in where was that kid at? He had an insulin pump. The teacher thought it was an iPad and come and cut the cord.
yes, and it's like that is detrimental.
I'm
Like,
I'm the opposite of that. When I hear them saying we need to ban phones in school, why? That is
yeah,
something we have built a bioengineered entity. These kids are live through their phone. They have become a bionic machine. We need
right,
to figure out how to educate that bionic machine.
right, and that's the issue because I'm working for an elected official this upcoming year on their campaign, and that has been something when we went to an event where she met with her constituents.
Hey, hold on
Uh,
1 second. Talk
yep,
again about your meeting. I've got to go use the restroom.
for the cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about your meeting on the hill.
Well, we're having our meeting on the Hill. It's the Cancer Capital Day. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to go lobby for some bills, talk to some legislatives, really talk about kind of the need for really sufficient cancer care initiatives and also preventive measures. The tobacco bill that we're running with Representative Clancy, it's just like a preventative measure to kind of hopefully get individuals to not buy certain tobacco products to by raising that tax, maybe to sway them, be like, hey, would I rather pay X amount of money for this or would I rather buy eggs today? So that's kind of the thought process behind it. But it's a really good time. Last year, I took my kids I took the BYU students with me and we went a little bit behind the curtain to the back end of what the legislative offices are and those kind of things, thanks to Representative Clancy and Representative Matthews. And we just had a grand time of learning. It's a really good time too if you're just really curious about the legislative process to kind of see it at work, meet with people. It's a great time. Look at it.
And did she mention they provide lunch, which is why you should sign up?
Yeah, I mean, we get the gourmets. I think that's what it's called. I have no
Sandwich
idea.
or something, whatever it is. I mean, they provide lunch. Come on, guys.
I mean, it's the best.
Well, and it's
But
a
no.
good cause. Cancer, I don't care. Everybody is in touch with somebody who has fought it, fighting it, or sadly succumbed to it. And
Right. And
man, if government cured cancer, I might take back like 17, 18% of the bad stuff I've said about government.
well, and the other really hard thing about cancer care is it's so expensive.
It's almost like it's a racket, isn't it?
It feels like a racket because my bills were $1.2 million. And at someone that was 22, that's a 22,
That's
23.
heavy.
That's heavy. Yeah. Luckily, I had really good
That's like
insurance.
you went to college 10 times.
Yeah, like my college degree was not anywhere near that high, but
Yes.
it's so crazy to me to just kind of see it at work. Because like I have dual citizenship with this country, and partially it's because if I got sick again, I'm going back to Italy to go get care.
Well, let me ask you a question. So I've always heard this about state healthcare systems that they're good for planned events, but they're awful for a heart attack or a
Like
stroke.
emergencies. So
Because because they can plan for, we know that we have this size of population, we can guesstimate we'll have this many heart attacks.
Right.
But like the weird, a novel disease comes across, and we've seen it in the past that they've said, we're just going to let him die. Italy was a part of one where they offered to help that young lady in Great Britain. And Great Britain said no. They took a firm stance and wouldn't let her travel to Italy, so she
To
died.
get treatment. Yeah, to get treatment in our Italy. I think the biggest thing you have to remind yourself about when it's these emergency events, when it's not like the States where you're going to the ER for stub toe. It's a little bit more restriction, so to speak. You can go see, but you're going to be on a huge wait list waiting there for a long time.
And
Because
if you're in mid-stroke or heart attack,
they prioritize you. So it's like
Okay.
here in the States, and like that's the big difference. The other really big difference too is routine procedures can be months till you're seen. But once again, it's a priority thing. You know what I mean? That's the outlook of it. It's a priority thing. So is it as fast as the States of getting treatment when it's not a priority? No, it's not as quick. Do you still get treatment? Yes. It's just if it's an emergency, you get immediate attention. But if it's not emergency, it just takes
don't we
longer.
still have the best cancer outcomes of any country?
I would believe it. That's why I won't leave the state.
I
Personally.
think the US has the best outcomes, still leads the world in outcomes, but it's super expensive. I don't know. I'm of two minds of this. What I really worry about is if we went to a state ran healthcare system, do we have to die on the vine like all the countries in Europe and become just facsimiles of something that once was great?
Yeah. So the US, so Australia leads at this time.
Okay, all 25 of them. Got it.
Yeah. And so, but the United States often
Is that
ranks
because
highest
more
for-
people are dying of spiders and snakes and stuff, though?
It might be. They got some weird things down there.
Australia is the
US
land of critters.
Yeah, but US ranks for past 5 years best survival for cancers like breast and prostate. So it really comes down to like, what is that country?
All the cancers that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 2 men get. Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
And so like that's the thing too, is like, like anything, like in Utah, right? We have a specialized cancer center called the Huntsman. That's where I go.
The Huntsman
Because
is a badass too.
top tier. I love that place. The Huntsman Center for people like me with my BRCA disease is top notch because they have a special oncology team for people like me. My sister, who has the same exact genetic disease, has a hard time finding doctors to treat her with BRCA in Pittsburgh.
Why doesn't she come to Utah?
I said that the other day to her.
She's got an in. What's her vocation?
She's a senior accountant / CPA. So,
it's too bad we never need any of those in Utah. I can't imagine her finding a prosperous life out here in the desert.
Know. And I agree with you. And that's the thing is like my boss has offered for me to move several times to be closer to the office. But the problem is they just don't have the cancer care. Like,
where's your office?
Toronto.
Oh yeah. I think Utah has a good one. You've got Utah, and for cancer research, I think, is it Atlanta? Are the 2 top tier ones in the country, like the best?
Yeah.
I know the Huntsman is world renowned. It's where world leaders come to get cancer treated.
Yeah, when I worked for a ambulatory service, we would get Saudi princes and princesses that were going to the Huntsman. And it was always, it was just, I remember at one point when I was working, they said, we will send the bill to the consulate. You know what I mean? And so you're just having to send the bill to the consulate. It's these royal members that you're having to do this for. It's just so interesting.
Yeah, because the Huntsman family focused in and they They built that place with a purpose.
Yes. And I love it. Like
What
I'm
was the
so
father's
grateful.
name? John's dad's name? Uh,
Look it up.
anyways, he was a huge philanthropist.
Yeah.
Huge. He like gave away all his money to this. He will
His
focus
dad
on
was
this.
named John Huntsman
Okay.
or John Huntsman Sr. It doesn't say what his dad's name
I
was.
mean, Utah's great. Let's think about it. Utah comes out with the Huntsman Institute. The king, John Browning, comes from Utah, and
Right.
his father, who was also an excellent firearms maker. And the Maxim gun, I'm not sure that guy doesn't have ties to Utah, because Maxim's first name was Hiram.
Oh, then isn't that funny? You have those names you hear, and it's like,
Huh.
I know where you're from.
I could be knee deep in Africa, and if someone came up and said a couple of names, you would know.
Immediately.
Yeah, you got that Utah or Mormon tie.
Mhm.
Hiram is
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah, I met someone out east, and their name was Hiram, and I said, "So what's your LDS connection?" And I'm not a part of the church. And they said, "How did you know?" And it's like, well, I live in Utah now, so yes, I know many Hirams here.
Yes.
But
Matter of
no,
fact,
it's
that's the only place I've ever heard that name. How odd.
right. But no, I do think
It's
Utah is really great with our cancer care, and I'm really like I love living here because of that.
Yeah, I do think that our healthcare system needs a revamp. I don't know what that looks like. I don't believe the ACA was the answer. Because I remember overnight that got passed, and we had a meeting at work that said, "All right, you guys, you got to come in and start filling out your paperwork and looking at new stuff." And my insurance went from like $200 a month to $450 a month and covered half as much. But
Right. And you told me about that. And that's
me as a
the hard
single
thing.
man, I got covered for hysterectomies all of a sudden. Me, who knew?
I
But
mean,
that's how they got certain stuff added, which
it's very interesting. So I worked for a congresswoman at the time the ACA got passed. And people bitch all the time about how that bill was so big. And to get people to sign on to the bill, there were things thrown in there. Like I remember one elected official asked for money to go back to their home. I mean, it was money was diverted from one fund to help their district. I mean, those were things that were going on, and it became so convoluted at that point.
let me ask you a question. Do you think it'd be better if maybe instead of federal insurance laws, we only had state insurance laws?
I honestly think it's twofolded. I think the state would be an interesting piece. I also think insurance companies should be nonprofit because you look at the state
That'd
of
be
Utah.
that'd be cool, but would you have insurance companies?
I think you would look at Select Health, right? Select Health was something that was
Uh-huh.
created in part by the state. And Select Health, in my opinion,
Uh-huh.
is a really good insurance company. And it's nonprofit, it does
Mhm.
well. You know what I mean? Like, I think you could use the Select Health thing and say, yeah, there's some merit to this process.
That'd be something to look at. I don't know. I mean, I know everyone gets after hospitals and doctors' offices, but I don't know if they're the number one driver for the price.
I don't think they are. I think some of it,
I think
Gideon,
pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies are the thing that's hurting us.
well, and it's like I said earlier, it's patents and what's available. You take like medications, right? I have a psoriasis.
I
We
can't
just found
believe
out,
I'm hearing this from property right now.
I know, like I I have a psoriasis medication that I take. It's a cream. It's a newly out medication. It is $1,000 for this little tube of it. And when I asked about it and I talked to my doctor, she explained Yeah, they've said it this because there's no generic available at this time.
Yeah, you've got to wait, what, 5 years or something before they can release it to generic. And what they'll do is right before that's up, they'll change the
Name.
the recipe just a scotch, re-up it, and hold on to it longer. I'm not a
It's
fan of the
crazy.
patent office. I am not a fan of patent offices.
I mean, it's kind of looking like from the earlier of our conversation to now, that might be the root of the issue. But,
Get rid of patent offices. Intellectual property means nothing anymore.
I mean, I suppose.
And that way you got to compete to make the biggest, not the best, not the first.
Well, and that's the issue is that I think you have to make the best, and like it's these types of things that really kill people. I have an individual in my cancer network that we talk to a lot with. Her medication to keep her alive is more than what Social Security and her pension gives her. And she was a teacher. And if she don't take this, she don't live because she's terminal.
So what does she have to do? Just go live with her daughter, live out her days with her daughter, and her daughter feeds her daughter, that's fine if that's your choice. And
that wasn't her daughter's
maybe
choice.
I'm looking
that
at this
family's choice.
Maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Maybe we should look at this as it's magic that we have designed a system that can keep you alive, that under any other circumstance you would be gone. But I still think this makes me wonder, the old conspiracy, the longest, oldest, strongest conspiracy is that pharmaceutical companies have cured cancer. It's just cheaper it's just more cost effective for them to not put that out, to give you the treatment so that you become a patient for life.
Right. And I think that's the hardest fight at times when you see these bills. You have people getting divorced who love each other because they don't want to straddle the living spouse once they're gone with debt. Like, I know people who've done this.
I would.
And oh, totally. Like, and it's just so hard on everyone to kind of watch and live this and see it, and it's just not fair. It's just not fair at the end of the day.
It's not at all. But I don't know. I don't view life as fair. Maybe I should. I think that if someone's putting obstacles up against you, because like the stuff that was Jim Crow laws, those were wrong because they were putting obstacles up against people for no choice that they had. They were just born. And so those obstacles were there.
I think maybe the distinction should be fair versus moral.
Yes, moral, I think, is the best way to look at it.
Is it moral to have people who love each other get divorced?
Yes.
Because they know there will be nothing left. Probably.
Well, and another question, maybe this should be explored, and I'm not the one to explore it, because everyone should know that I can barely add, and if it's too big a number, I got to kick a shoe off. But would the pharmaceutical companies survive if they met our standard of moral?
And that would be a really great thing to know.
But
you know what I mean? Because I don't know.
If they've invented a cancer cure, let's say, pick a pharmaceutical company. What's one that you dislike the most?
The people who made the narcotics and let them go out. Was that Purdue?
No, GlaxoSmithKline, wasn't that? Anyways, let's say they've invented the cancer cure, but they're like, if we put this out, our business is done. Everyone that works for us, it has to go to the bread line.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it would be really interesting to see.
And so do they hold on to it because of that? Like, is there some lab scientist that's sitting there screaming into his pillow at night, knowing that he has that cure, but he's obligated to not release it?
Right. Well, and that's the hard thing. It's just like, you don't know what you don't know. And the hard thing with these organizations, a lot of their stuff is hidden until, because like financial disclosures or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I
Like,
mean, they could keep it hidden.
mhm.
I mean, obviously they could. And how many times do they stumble onto a drug that they were seeking to do something else, and this thing happened, so we'll put it out as this? And like Viagra. Viagra was a drug for cholesterol, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Viagra was initially not for cholesterol per se, but it was for heart.
There's something
Um,
high blood pressure,
yeah,
something with your
something.
something with your blood system. And the guys all said, well, I don't know if my blood's okay, but look at this, And next thing you
Right.
know, and they saw dollar signs. The
Right. And
makers of Viagra and Cialis, if they are living in a house that isn't shaped like a big hard phallus, they are
yeah,
missing the mark,
I
because
agree.
that took the country by storm. Because how many couples have been just,
Benefited from it.
I know everyone gripes, why are they giving Viagra for free, or whatever, but that's for, trust me, that is for, if anyone knows anything about sexual psychology, that is for both the man and the woman.
For sure.
That is not just a marriage saver, but that is a lifesaver. That, I mean,
Well,
the
it's
way
so embarrassing too to admit that that's an issue for people and men especially. Like, you know, I think like you say, it's good for them, to have that ability
and good for the wife. The wife needs that serotonin rush.
for sure.
I mean, yeah, it tore apart the cuck industry, but I don't care about them. Those guys are buttholes. Well, maybe not. They were providing a service. I did work at a brothel at one time, and I understood that, as gross as I thought it was a service that people wanted.
Oh, for sure. I don't have an issue with
Yeah.
sex working. That's not my, once again,
Right.
morally not for me. Like, morally, it's not mine to decide and do those things.
I'm a believer that when you are in a relationship, you should be in that relationship.
Yeah.
But I am also a believer that people are weird, and sex is the weirdest part of humans.
Yes. Yes.
So,
but
anyways, back to the story. Let's round out. I want to let you go. First, let me read some comments because.
Okay.
All right. So, Jordan asks, hey, Jared, where's Holly? She is at a meet and greet with one of our state reps, Miss Nicolene Peck. She is out here to explain some of the bills that are going on in the House. And then he says, hello, guys, and glad to see you, Katie. Hi, Katie. And then William mentioned, and then on Facebook, didn't get a lot of comments there, but let's see. We got to say hi to Sherry, as always, on Facebook, but it was rather kind of quiet tonight. We didn't have we have a guy that comes on and trolls us once in a while, and he only shows up once in a while. I miss him.
I hope he's okay.
I do too. I really do. I hope he's okay. I hope that he hasn't suffocated on his cock-shaped pillow. Anyways, back to Jordan says, what are your thoughts on Minnesota? Do you think that the country will be in a civil war soon? I am worried that it's throwing signals when you get when government officials are involved in insurrection-like activity. That sends a great big signal to me that we're in trouble. I don't know. I hope not. Man, it sure does seem like we're heading that way, though. It really does. If you watch the national news. Now, if I just sit here at home and watch the local news, shoot, stuff's great. man, we got a new mayor I need to go meet soon. And actually, I know our new mayor here, but I don't know Grantsville's new mayor. I need to reach out and meet her and chat with her. We had female domination here in Tooele County on mayorships. Got a new Tooele mayor, Miss Marissa Manzioni. Very nice lady. She's really a neat lady. And if I remember, her family came over during the Wobbly movement. I don't know if you're familiar with the Wobblies.
I've heard of it.
It was a union busting movement when miners' unions started up. They went over to Europe and they took Italians and Greeks and some Spanish and brought them over here to union bust. And they moved in here and they made a life. Those are the non-transients, the Varios, and all these names that are synonymous with the greatness of Tooele City are these people that came over here like that. And they all started these, like the restaurants and the food. And I'm I am very pro-immigration. I just don't think you can have open immigration and a welfare state, because one will eat the other. The state will collapse under the weight of its obligations in that instance. But I do want to, before I let you go, but
it's okay. Yeah, I gotta feed my husband.
You better feed him and tell him I said hi. He's a very nice guy.
Yes.
So we talked about Alex Pretti. There is no good guy in that story. I want to lay the blame for the initiation of that incident on the ICE, or they were CPB or CBP. Sorry. They weren't ICE agents. That was Customs and Border Patrol agents that were brought down to reinforce ICE agents. I want to lay the blame on them. I think they initiated contact irrationally. Now, I'm not in their situation. I don't know what their morning was like. I don't know what the pressure was like on them that morning. And if that was ugly, I will adjust my metrics here. But I, as former law enforcement myself, spent years on a SWAT team. I do believe that the best law enforcement officers are the ones that can discern when they can just talk, when they can. I mean, it would have been great had they had one guy that would peel off and lightly usher the protesters off to the side and let them gas themselves out on him.
Right.
Right.
Just let them run wild. Yeah.
Find a guy that doesn't care, that's very secure in himself, maybe he's, a tripod or whatever, but a guy that can just take abuse and it doesn't bug him. And that is your go-to guy. He's the guy that goes up to the protesters and says, "Hey, how you doing? My name's whatever, and I'm here, and here's what we're doing today." And they're like, "You're a dick," and blowing whistles at him. He's like, "I understand what you say. Those are nice shoes. Where'd you get them at?" You know what I was wondering the other day? I've got a cousin that would be great at that. Not just that, but he's like a professional bodybuilder. So the guy is like freaking huge. He's a big meat,
and some people are like that. They can really just take that and they're good at it.
Yeah, make that their profession. That's their job.
Yes.
And you know what? Everyone else should dress in business casual, but that guy dresses hardcore, comes out with the tactical green on and the tack vest and all that, but I think we really need to look at how we're doing this. Now, Trump has kind of pulled a little bit of a retreat, and he's pulled out the Border Patrol guy who was in charge of it. And I think Kristi Noem's about to be pulled out of that. And they've brought that.
I think Kristi Noem. I think the headache, just the sheer media headache that the Trump administration is dealing with. If they're smart, they're going to blame it on Kristi and run.
Well, here's I want to make an argument against Trump right now. Trump, you can get on a microphone and you can say, I don't know exactly what happened yet. I'm being briefed. This is a moving event. I will make sure my people get to you as soon as we know exactly what happened. That can be said. You don't have to come out and say, this guy showed up with a pistol and 2 magazines and he was there to massacre cops. He may have been, but don't say that until you know for sure. Don't say that until you can prove it.
And that's the hardest thing is I don't think Trump has ever had to have that hesitation in his life of a pause.
Where Trump comes from, he's got to be the guy that if there's a camera pointed at him or a question, make it entertaining.
Yes. And the problem is that this is not the time or place for those type of skills.
This is not, but Obama made the same thing. Obama did the same thing when Trayvon Martin got shot. Oh, if I had a kid, he would look just like Trayvon Martin. You know, we're getting to a point where our presidents are retarded.
Well, as my father would say, the people who should run for office never do because they're smart enough to know they don't want to run.
And that brings me to my next point. Everyone, Holly is running for state rep in District 29 here in the state of Utah.
She's running for state senate or house?
House.
Why not?
I think it's District 29 to replace Bridger Belinder.
Yeah.
It's a race full of Republicans, but we're out here in the sticks. So all our crazies are out here. That's one thing that Democrats got to remember. If you're going to build a protest, your crazies will come, and there's a lot of them, and they don't have to walk far. Republicans build a protest. Our crazies came. Our crazies went to January 6th, but it had to be a nationwide protest to make make a tenth of what happened through all the different cities. When you add up the numbers, it is insane how uneven those numbers are.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. It's going to be very interesting, this race. She's running against a lot of people.
But they're all Republicans.
There's one constitutionalist, one forward party, and then one Dem. I don't know who the Dem is. So.
Yeah, well, I'm sending invites to everyone I want them to come on the show. They can choose whether it's just with me or with me and Holly. I want to put it out there. This is not going to be a debate style. It's going to be, a quick, tell me who you are, tell me what you want to run on, and then I'm cutting you loose. I may talk crap about you later if you've got stupid ideas, but you never know. I've only had one interview with one representative that afterwards that left a really bad taste in my mouth. And that was that Democrat, what's that lady? She wanted to do something with free speech.
Reevy?
Yes. Oh, she wanted to kill free speech. Well, that doesn't. And I have what's that?
She's running for D1 now.
Yeah, I believe it. But I have a couple of staples. One, I'm a free speech absolutist. I think if you say it, you got to be able to live with what you said, but I don't want to see any controls laid on us, because you start those controls and it goes to where you're subjugated. I mean, look at England right now.
Right.
That's where it goes. I want to be able to tell my politicians that they're dickheads. In Germany, you get fined $500 if you call your politician a douchebag.
I mean, wild.
Right? But no, that's in their law books.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the Dem that's running against her now. I don't know. It's just, I do believe, I will say, working for an elected official multiple times, they do get yelled at. And sometimes sometimes it's not. It's just like.
Sure, but they volunteered for it. They're getting
Yep.
paid to get yelled at.
Yep. And that's kind of the deal. And like, I think the best politician who gets yelled at is the one who can stand getting yelled at and then say, okay, but let's talk about it.
Well, and they know what their standards are.
Yeah.
They're
Because
not going to change who they are. Like they're not going to become, they're not, oh, I'm going to go write a law that they can't do this to me anymore. Don't they know who I am?
right.
No, if you sign up for the job, you need to do it.
Right. Because I will say the best, because as you probably have noticed, I'm very good about listening to other people's sides. And I only work for electeds who are like that or candidates because I'm not interested in someone who's going to flip or those kind of things. And if they do decide to change their mind, like I've worked for some that have said, hey, found out new information, I have to change my
I
viewpoint,
like
and
that.
this is what happens, you know? And I appreciate that, you know, when they're honest, because that has happened multiple times.
I like that stuff a lot. I do. I do.
Yeah.
I like it when I actually approve when you see them mold their mind. I just have a couple of standards that the Bill of Rights on the whole is kind of a standard of mine because I think the Bill of Rights to me is very important to me because it's what you would be absent of government. It's the essence of humanity. Would I be able to say whatever dumb thing fell out of my head? Yes. Would I want to? No. You don't
Right.
want to hear my inner thoughts.
Right.
I would never put those on the internet. But
Yes.
I want you to be able to. I am an atheist. I am an open atheist, but I am very pro freedom of religion. I love religion and churches. I think religions can be the best thing for a community. How else are you going to know to help the little old lady down the street?
Right.
You know, religions are the smallest entity where people gather. I love religion. Second Amendment, we all know my feelings. I think you should be able to, in nature, defend yourself, or at least try to.
Right.
And I like the Second Amendment because it's my ability to defend myself. Third Amendment, not a problem right now. Might be a problem in the future. I don't know. We'll worry about that. But I think that I should be able to have my stuff in a secure place and not have it ransacked through. I think I should be able to know if the community wants to get me in trouble. I should be able to know why, what's happening. I shouldn't have to, be punished for something I don't even hear about. Those are kind of my just basics. And Kamala Harris and Tim Walz both came out and spoke against freedom of speech. And that concerned me. Now, on the same note, Donald Trump spoke out in positive of it, but sometimes there's some actions from this administration that acts against it.
Yeah.
Would I vote for Donald Trump again today? I don't know. That's a tough one. I voted for him then because to me, it felt like we were at a crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
And also we're on that pendulum, that apex pendulum to the left, and it's starting to come back. And you've got to be concerned about that. When it's on that apex, if you vote for people that fight for it, you're giving the hands to the state of people who have a higher propensity to act irrationally to try to save their power.
Right.
If we were apexing to the right, I couldn't vote for someone who had that propensity. I couldn't, because they would fight to keep that. And we're heading back from the left, and we'll have another moment like in the 90s where things just felt like they worked. We'll have another moment like that. You still have your crazies. But
Yeah.
remember, it was the Republicans who clamped down on those crazies.
True.
They were the right-wing crazies, and it was the Republicans that went after them, that initiated going after them. The Democrats polished it off with Waco, but it was the Republicans that initiated it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
those are just the thoughts that run through my head.
yeah. Well, this has been great.
Yes,
I
it
really
always
appreciate
is.
you inviting me. I do have to run. I have to use the
Yes.
restroom in the worst of ways. So
Oh, I got to use it.
so
You know,
much.
this is the first time I was able to have beer. Now that you got to use the restroom, let's start another.
Oh my God. God bless you. Okay. I'll
Katie,
talk
have
to
a
you
wonderful
later.
night.
Yeah, you
Say,
too. All right.
say hi
Bye-bye.
to your old man for me. Bye-bye.
Will do. Bye-bye.
All right, everyone. Katie Adams Anderton. Holly is doing her thing with Miss Peck. And I'm about to sign off. I got to go to bed. I drank 2 beers tonight because I haven't been able to drink beer in a couple weeks because I've been on call. But I hope everyone has a pleasant week and a good weekend. I hope this Minnesota things get solved. Holman, that's his name. They've sicked Holman up there to work with it. I think that hopefully it works. We stand on the precipice of something weird. We're in a weird place. Really weird place. We'll have to see how it goes. But everyone have a safe time. Jordan, William, Sherry, thanks for your comments. And I hope to see you all again real soon. And